It's Selena and Grant talking about what's up in the city, Planning Edition. So last night the Midland Planning Commission kicked off its first meeting of 2020 with a couple really important things. The first was the rezoning of the Shelterhouse property on Isabella.
That's correct. So we had a recommendation to support the rezoning to convert that property actually from its current use as a nonprofit back to single-family residential. There may be a lot of community members that will remember when that house was built and occupied by local doctors in town, and so it's actually more of a restoration of that property back to its original use, which is the single-family use.
So that will be exciting to see how that changes over time.
It does, yeah. City Council does have to give final approval on that, and it's scheduled to go in front of them in February.
The other really important thing that you started a conversation on last night was the site plan review process. What changes are being looked at there?
Yes, so Planning Commission heard for the first time last night a City Council directive that was given to staff in the Planning Commission back at their goal setting at earlier part of this month, which was to take a look at the site plan review process and make changes so that that final approval would go from City Council down to the Planning Commission level.
So does this change the way the community gives input into new developments coming into our community?
It is going to see some changes, although the community still will have many opportunities to participate in the development process. The thing with site plan reviews is it's an objective checklist, and so the city has standards in zoning and other ordinances that effectively say this is how many parking spaces you need, or this is how many trees you need, or how close you can be to the property line with a new building. All of those are very objective, and staff and the Planning Commission go through and make sure that all of those boxes are checked as part of the site plan review process. It's not subjective like other processes which effectively say, do we or do we not want this use? Are there ways that we could modify it in order for it to be less detrimental to surrounding property owners, or is it not compatible, or is it compatible with other uses? State law actually is very strict in how it allows municipalities to regulate uses that are permitted by right, and that's the objective review process.
So as new developments come along, when and what is the best way for community members to give input, concerns that they might have for developments?
Yes, so it's still very important for the public to participate in zoning considerations. As we saw last night, we had a number of people participate in the Shelterhouse rezoning public hearing. At the time of zoning, that's really the best opportunity for folks to come and determine whether or not they think a set of uses is an appropriate use for that particular property. But what we inform zoning consideration is actually from the city's master plan. And so the master plan is a very important participation process to gauge public input so that we go ahead and we cite the vision for those lands into the future that then can be followed with rezoning considerations. And actually, we have the master planning process that's going to be coming up at the later parts of this year, likely into the fourth quarter of this year, where the city will be kicking off a comprehensive master plan update. I'd certainly encourage folks to stay tuned because we'll have lots of public input opportunities at the beginning and in the middle of that process so that we're representing what the community desires.
And we'll be getting out lots of information on that process and your opportunity to give input. So tell me what happens next with the site plan review process review.
Yes, so the Planning Commission will actually review this again at their meeting in February, first meeting, which is February 11th, and we'll go through and dive more into the details of what the actual ordinance change will look like. The process that we currently follow is within the site plan standards of the zoning ordinance, and so we do need to formally amend those eventually. So this will be a couple-month process, which will ultimately need City Council's final decision on. But there'll be numerous conversations at the Planning Commission level as well as City Council as we move forward in this change.
And opportunities for the public to give input.
Yes, there will be.
So you can watch the entire Planning Commission meeting on MGTV 188 or via streaming video at cityofmidlandmi.gov.